to Stamping with Melva. I'm Melva Peters, and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in British Columbia, Canada, and you can find me online at stampingwithmelva.com. It's Thursday night, and it's a mystery challenge night. So I posted a mystery challenge for you, and I should have printed it out and just realized I hadn't printed it out. I should do that right now. I'm going to look while I'm going to try and pull this up as I'm talking. So I challenged you to use some different items. Here we go. So I challenged you to select one item from each of the boxes that I gave you. So the first box was animal, flower, or butterfly. The second box was a birthday sentiment, black or paw prints. And then the third sentiment was twine, rhinestones, and embossing folder. So that was a challenge. And hopefully you went and grabbed all of the things that you need. I'm trying to find my way back. Hey, Catherine, to make a card. And so make a card using one item, at least one item from each of those boxes, and then share it on my Facebook group. And you might receive some happy mail at the end of the month. So tonight I'm going to make a shaker card. I love shaker cards, and so I thought I would try a shaker card. I'm going to use the layering diorama dies. That's going to kind of create my fish tank. So I'm using a wish and a fish, which is an amazing punch bundle. That's what I was trying to think of, a punch bundle in the annual catalog. All right, so I'm going to use black and Bermuda Bay and a few other products. So let me switch over to my desktop and we will get started. All right, so this is the A Wish and a Fish. I've used this before. I think I've even made a shaker card before. It is a rubber stamp, some great fish. I love this, a sea of thanks. And then I love punches. So for me, this is just, I love punches. So this is perfect. Okay, so let me show you what I've pulled out so far. And I've done some cutting ahead of time, just because it makes it easier. Okay, so I've got a piece of basic black. So I love the color combination of black, and I'm using Bermuda Bay or black and Pool Party or black and Coastal Cabana, all the kind of same color tones. So I'm got this 5.5 by 8.5. So I guess I'm assuming this is probably sounding really dumb. I think a fish is an animal. I'm going to say it's an animal. I'm sure it's an animal. It's not a mammal. I didn't say mammal. I didn't say bird. So we're going to go with fish being an animal. All right. So I've got my card base. So 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4, and then use your bone folder. Then I've already gone ahead and cut out a piece of Bermuda Bay. And I embossed it with one of the new embossing folders. This is one of the embossing folders that is the online exclusive. There is a crosshatch. There is this one, and then there's one that's kind of it's very all over, looks like a star to me. So I'm not sure exactly what the name, but I thought this would be kind of cute because it looks kind of like bubbles. So that's going to be my first layer. Now, I went ahead and cut these. I haven't used the layering diorama dies. So that's what these are. So they're all kind of different shapes. And there are 2 of each of the shapes. I think it's 2 of each of the shapes. Maybe there's 3 of the large ones. Yeah, so there's 3 of the large shape, 2 of the next size down, and then 2 of the smallest size that kind of fit together. So I took the 3rd largest die, let's get this going, as my outside. And then I took, probably shouldn't have put them away. So this is the 3rd largest, and I laid that on. And then then I took the 4th largest, and I line that up so that it's got a bit of an edge to it. So this is going to be kind of this is my frame or fish tank. So that's what I'm going to create the shaker with. So I cut that out of basic black, and then I cut out, these are the largest die. Hey, Nancy, I cut this out. So this is window sheet. So that's going to keep my sequence in, and then I cut a piece of basic white. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to do some stamping. And so I pulled out 3 different colors here. I pulled out Pool Party, Coastal Cabana, hey Louise, and Bermuda Bay. So what I want to do is create a bit of a background. So I'm going to use the Coastal Cabana and Pool Party. So for Coastal Cabana, I don't know which way this is going to go now that I think about it. Maybe it needs to go that way. Kind of had it laid that way. Let's do it that way. Okay. So there's a plant over here. So I'm inking that up in Coastal Cabana. So I'm going to put that there. And then there are these really cool waves. So I'm going to use my Pool Party. And I'm going to stamp off because I want the waves to be fairly light. And I'm just going to kind of put waves, and I'm going to go right over the plant. Not all of this is going to be seen, but some of it will be. Okay, so there I've got some waves in my background. And while I have my ink out, I've got some just scrap pieces of basic white. So I'm going to stamp my fish in Bermuda Bay. Like that. I should have checked to see which way my punch goes. Oh, that's good. Okay. And then I'm going to stamp the little fish in Pool Party. Okay, so now we're going to just punch this out. So I'll stamp. I might do 3 fish. We'll see how it looks. All right. So if you ever find you end up with a little tiny piece of paper that you're trying to punch out and you can't kind of hang on to it because there's not enough on the edge, just take your take a Post-it note and just stick on the edge of it, and then you'll have something to hang on to. All right, so there's my little fish. I think I need another little fish. There we go. I have room for another little fish. Let's stamp it in Coastal Cabana. Like that. Hey, Julie, welcome. All right, and I probably have to trim this off. Yep, I'm going to have to trim the bottom off. That's what happens when you make a decision to stamp something on the spur of the moment. All right, so we'll just hold this in here. Now, when I punch, I always punch so that I'm seeing the stamped image. So my punch is upside down. And I always just kind of, I start putting it in, and then I start applying pressure just lightly so that it starts to hold that stamped image in place. And that way you can kind of position it in as you want it to be. All right, now I managed to lose my other fish. Well, it's got to be here somewhere. Oh, there it is. Okay. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to create what I'm calling an aquarium. So I'm going to adhere my window sheet onto the back of my cutout frame. So I'm just going to use a little bit of Stampin' Seal, just in the kind of where it's wide enough. You could use a glue dot if it's not wide enough for Stampin' Seal. But I just want to put just enough. Probably should have my silicone mat on here so I don't get my Stampin' Seal. Or Stampin' Seal. What am I doing? It is Stampin' Seal. Oh, I don't know. I had a momentary lapse there where I thought I was saying snail. Can't say that. Okay, there we go. All right, so we're just going to put this frame. This is the same size as this the outside frame. And if you get it I've managed to put it on here, and you can just see, well, actually, I guess I moved it over enough. You could just take your paper snips. I got a bit of adhesive on here. I'm going to have to take or put something over top of that. Okay, so then this is going to fit over top like this. But what we need to do is create a barricade so our sequence doesn't fall out. And for that, I like to use, these are the adhesive foam strips. Now, I think I got these in a paper pumpkin, so I don't throw these out because I love to use these. But when you buy them, they're in a longer strip. So I've got a couple here. So we'll just take and use these up. And what I like to do is you can actually kind of, I'm going to put this right around the edge, and you can actually kind of curve this. So as you're kind of moving it around the edge, just kind of curve it and place it down. It won't look perfect. It'll kind of, you know, look like it's bending, and my top, the backing is coming off, but I'm trying to get as close to the edge of my basic white as I can. Because on some of these, now I'm going to cut that off because that's quite a sharp corner to go around. And so we'll just kind of put that there. Put that on. Right. Now some of the edges on this, the outside edges are a little wider than, oops, I shouldn't have taken the backing off. Oh well. Okay, so we'll just kind of curve that around. Actually, it seems to adhere down, maybe just because I'm pressing on it. There we go. So we're just creating our barricade for our sequence. And I don't like to work with too long strips of this because, I don't know, I just find it's kind of awkward. So just, that's why I cut mine typically into smaller size strips, the long strips that you get when you order this. Okay. So this is one way to make a shaker card. A while ago, I did a series 3 on technique. I think it was my technique nights. I did kind of a series on making shaker cards, and I showed you 3 different ways. Recently, I did another one using the medium clear envelope, which is my absolute favorite way. It's so easy to make a shaker card. This is a little fiddly, as you have to put this barricade in place so that your sequence doesn't fall out. And then you have to make sure that you don't have too big of gaps so that your sequence. Now I am using, there we go. I am using the For Everything Fancy sequence. Comes in a box, but in the box you get a blue, pink. We're not going to use the pink, and green. So I'm going to mix the green and the blue together. And I love this. It's so pretty. It's got some white in it. It's got some pearls. It's got some gold. It's just so pretty. So I'm going to put a little bit of blue in there. Now you don't want this. I probably got more than I need. And then I'm going to put some green just because I think it'll just kind of mix well together. You get a lot of sequence in these packages. The beginning. What's the stamp set? It is a wish, no, a fish and a wish. It's a bundle from the annual catalog. It's a punch bundle. All right, so I'm just going to kind of move that. Now I have to find. So now find your frame and get it going the right way. Now, what I'm going to do is I have got some, it's staticky. So I've got some of my sequence jumping up, and that just makes it hard. So take your embossing buddy, and I seem to be, there we go. Take your embossing buddy and just rub over this window sheet so it loses some of its static. And then hopefully, oh, we're still getting it jumping a little bit, but that's okay. Now we're just going to press this down and make sure that you press all the way around so that your sequence doesn't fall out. And it's not too staticky. Now I can see, you may not be able to see. Yeah, you think you can see. I've got some of my white showing, so I'm just going to take my paper snips and just trim off that kind of basic white that I'm seeing, kind of peek over the edge of my the frame. Okay, I think that's good. All right, so now I can take and bring back my black and Bermuda Bay with the embossed. So this is my thought. So we'll just take and put some of these little fish like this. Okay, and then I just have to put a sentiment on. All right, I think this is going to be good. All right, so I need some dimensionals to put the fish on. Got to pop them up. All right, there we go. So let's put you there. Get those, the little fish float are gonna swim. Hey, Mern. Hey, I'm not sure who's coming in through Facebook, but when you come in through Facebook, every once in a while, you have to give StreamYard permission. So go to streamyard.com/Facebook, and that way I can see who's commenting. The moment I only see Facebook user, but thank you for watching. Okay, so we got that. And then one more dimensional for the big fish. Like that. Now, I was thinking I needed some ribbon, and I'm just going to quickly grab ribbon. So we have this really pretty pool party grosgrain ribbon. So I think I'm going to take and wrap this around like this. And no, I still cut more than I need. So I'm just going to cut that off the roll. And I'm going to take and I'm going to wrap this around the middle, hopefully the middle, although I can move it. If I don't adhere it down, I can move it. So I'm just going to take and I'm going to tie it over to what will be the right-hand side of my card. Now, if you're like me, you need an extra set of hands, or at least an extra finger. Hey, Darlene, to hold this. Grab your tweezers. So we've already used the embossing buddy from the embossing kit. This is the tweezer. So, and I typically fold, I'm going to get this going the right way. I turn my card upside down. So I'm going to turn this upside down so that I can control where the tails go. At least I find it easier. So let's get this in place again. So let's put that there. And now I can tie this, make a bow, or make a, part of the bow. And I love this grosgrain ribbon. It is part of the Two-Tone Flora, Fancy Flora suite, if you haven't seen it. All right, I'm going to make your bow smaller. Just kind of, there we go. This might have to be even smaller. We'll get my fish on, and then we'll see where it needs to go. Yeah, it needs to even go just a bit over a little. So then I think I can get this. Actually, what I'll do is I will tie it so it goes kind of straight up and down like that, and put a glue dot so it gets held straight up and down. Glue dots are amazing things. This will kind of get it going the way I want it and hold it in place, hopefully. There we go, press it down. And bring those tails to the outside. Okay, now I should have room, to put my fish on. So I think I'm just going to use tear and tape to put this fish on, or this fish tank. I think I've got it. It's popped up more than enough because even as it is, I don't know, in Canada, this might cost more to mail. We're only allowed 20 millimeters. I think it's 20 millimeters. It's not very tall, so you end up paying oversized letter to mail some cards that get too thick. So sometimes these cards are the cards that get hand delivered. There we go. Looks pretty straight. There we go. And then this can just adhere on with liquid glue. Oops. So I often say I use Stamp and Seal when I have ribbon on my card, but I also say I use liquid glue when I have an embossed piece. So I'm going to use the liquid glue. This is quite a deep embossing with this polka dot one, or bubbles. I'm calling these bubbles. Go. Now let's take this and trim it. Ooh, I'm gonna cut a lot off there. Twisting my ribbon so that it, there we go. I'm always fussed with your ribbon. I always tend to kind of play with it a little bit. There we go. Okay, it's got my ribbon. Now I need a sentiment. So I have a piece of basic white, and I'm going to use Bermuda Bay, and I'm going to stamp the sentiment that says a sea of thanks, like that. And we'll fussy cut because that's what I do. And I'm just going to take and just cut this in a rectangle. I could have cut this out using my paper trimmer, but it's just easier. That way, sometimes when you fussy cut or you cut your paper out ahead, then you really have to worry about, you know, getting your stamped image straight. And this way I don't have to worry. Now, where I like to use these, if you've got sometimes I would probably have to use mini dimensionals, but you can use these foam strips on the back of your sentiments, especially if they're fairly narrow like this one is. All right, and we're just going to put this down here in the corner. Now, I did pull out iridescent rhinestones, but I don't think I need anything more. I think the ribbon and the shaker is plenty of bling for this card, but we do need something for the inside. So let's take and stamp in Pool Party a couple of these waves, and then we'll stamp in Bermuda Bay this big fish. There we go. Let me close these before I get my card. Would be not the first time. I got something on that ribbon. There we go. Wouldn't be the first time that I don't do up my ink pads and then suddenly the card is covered in ink. All right, there we go. I love Bermuda Bay and black together. Coastal Cabana in black. Pool Party in black. Just kind of striking color. Right, there we go. There's my shaker card using the layering diorama dies. So if you don't have these or you haven't pulled them out, they're kind of fun. Just a different shape than our normal circles and squares when we make cards. If you're like me, you typically do a circle or a square or a rectangle or even ovals now that we have some of the ovals. But I don't often pull out these layering diorama dies. So there you go. There's a fun shaker card using a wish and a fish. So don't forget to check out the mystery clues that I gave you. Again, I asked you to pick one item from each of the boxes and make a project or a card. Yes, these dies are amazing. Check them out because they're very fun. Like you can make diorama cards from them as well, or you can just use them to layer on your card base. Let's see, what did I want to tell you? Thanks, Felicia. Yeah, if you don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you're coming in through YouTube and you aren't a subscriber, that way you get notified when I go live or when I post a video. Don't you feel free to share this video if you're in through my Facebook page, and give me a thumbs up. Hopefully you liked the card. Now I will be back live on Saturday. Now I'm going to be a little later. Probably will be closer to 1 o'clock on Saturday. I earned a bit of an incentive from my team leader. So one of my new team members who joined during celebration is coming over, and we're going to get to do some stamping together with a kit that my upline actually sent out. So we're going to have some fun stamping together. So it'll be a little later than normal on Saturday, and then I will be live on Sunday at 12 o'clock Pacific. So hopefully you can join me then or catch them on the replay. All right, everybody, thanks so much for joining me. Hope you have a great evening. Happy stamping. Bye.